was just double checking. I think I'm just an idiot. And blue is actually for output, red is for input, at least on these ones. This one, it's the reverse, and that's why I got confused. But yeah, just looking at the arrows, I can see the difference. So let's see what happens now. There we go. I got full steam and full thing. Okay, let's try this now. See how this works. Look at that. We're actually generating power. I'm freaking shocked. We're actually going to be out of steam on this side, so let's get this operational. The core and the casing are still really hot. I'm going to have to look into seeing why this is going as crazy as it is. Oh, it's because it doesn't have enough water flowing into it. So, let's see what I can do here to help this out. The reservoir, I don't think will actually keep up. This is just burning up fuel at a ridiculous rate, so let's turn that off. Alright, well, we're at least halfway there. We just now got to figure out how to improve our heat in the... that's where all my buckets have been going. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, we just got to figure out how to keep the water intake to the reactor. I did know it was going to be quite a large amount. I just didn't realize exactly how rough that was going to be. We'll try just connecting some more to this one reservoir. I somehow feel like that's not going to work out. But we'll give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, and there we go. Yeah, and while the heat is still there, the reactor actually continues to do stuff, so it's not an instant turn on and turn off like the passively cooled reactor. But let's just kind of see how our turbine is going. This is not the most efficient way, and it does take a long time for the rotor to do its thing, but we can actually see it semi-working. Right now it's only producing 100 RF a tick, which, you know, obviously is nowhere close to what we want it to be. We told it we want the rotor speed to either be at 900 or 1800 RPM, and because we're at 80 at the moment, we're just not getting it there, and that's because we don't have enough steam coming in. I actually want to tap into this power while I can, so let's just simply attach that, so we can bring that energy out of there. I don't need to keep it in there. And alright, so this reservoir is just not cutting it on its own. Let's actually add a second fluid pipe and see how this works. Auto sharding should be pulling it out faster now. Yeah, we can definitely see it draining a heck of a lot faster. Oh, and we're still at crazy levels. Okay. Well then, I think we're gonna need more reservoirs. Let's actually get 8. So it'll be 2 additional reservoirs, and we'll see how that works out. And of course, we need fused quartz for that. So I actually have a decent amount stored up at this point. Reservoir. So there's our 8 things. We're actually going to need couple of buckets as well. Okay, so we might have to move the piping a little bit as well, simply because of the fact I'm not 100% confident not 100% confident these pipes can actually withstand as much water is going to need to be flowing through this. Alright, I won't even ask what happened there. Is that not even like a full water bucket? Why are we not going up? Alright, let's go to the other one. I think that one's getting drained so quickly. I'm just getting visual glitches where it's saying it's getting the water, but it actually isn't. There we go. That one there, we'll grab that one, we'll put that there. Alright, so let's see if we can make this happen. This is just an insane amount of water getting pumped into this thing. Although I'm sure this will be well worth it once I've got this sorted out. Probably with how much steam and stuff is going into this, I probably could add a few more output reactors too. For now, I have it set up to just vent any excess, which should be fine. Venting doesn't actually do anything. Like it prevents excess steam, I guess. I'm not sure what the issue is with oh, I guess you can't hold it all in. Or no, preserve all exhaust fluids and it just slows it down. Alright, so that's just me not reading. Never mind. But in any case, we don't have to worry about getting that extra steam out of there. The setup will take care of itself. Alright, so it's pretty much cooled down. The water is full. I'm scared what's going to happen here. And we are maxing out again. We still don't have enough water. Alright, so let's see what kind of fluid amounts we need here to make this work. Let's create a fluid import bus. So I'm definitely going to have to add some significant water generation to work with this. But since this video is already getting exceptionally long, I'm just going to try to see if we can just get it in action, just so you can kind of see the net result of having the two machines. what I'm actually going to do is complicate my structure a little bit further and actually attach the initial fluid intake to my AE fluid storage system. So I actually probably gotta have that right on the ground, don't I? So put that there, okay. And so what I'm gonna do is actually create a huge amount of available fluid. And this is probably going to be how I'm going to have to wind up doing this, simply because of the fact, like, just the long term, because just having all these reservoirs here, it's just going to be insane with all the piping and stuff. It'll just be easier to have a water farm set up somewhere, have it all going into my AE, and then the AE pumping it all out. So let's have it just be draining these things like crazy, although it might be competing with this. So no, that's full. Alright, so we're good there. Let's get these water levels maxed out. This is just a ridiculous amount of water that's going to be needed for this. Just plug myself into an ocean or something like that and drain it. People are always complaining there's not enough deserts on the server anyways. So I do know this is a lot of work, but I guarantee you that when this is all said and done, the power output on this thing is just going to be amazing once I've got it operational. We're going to wait till we have at least 1,000 buckets available. While we wait, let's create some fluid export buses. And we are going to create 2 more reactor coolant ports. Right. The reason why I'm going to do this is I'm actually going to have the ME. I'm going to disconnect the input part here. I'm going to have it exporting into here on this side, and then these reservoirs will still keep doing their thing into these reactor ports here. So in theory, we should hopefully have enough water. This is a slightly larger reactor. I can only imagine what it'd be like if you made it even larger. The coolant on the inside I don't think makes a difference with an actively cooled one. I'm not sure, I'll have to look into that. But when it was just running as a passively cooled one, the heat generation was negligible. It actually worked quite well. So I'm thinking at this point, I've either screwed something up with this reactor, or it's just the fact that there's just not enough water getting in there is what's causing the overheating. So this will be our telltale test. Probably should have actually added in the ports first. Get the glass out of there? I did, alright. And we'll add our export buses. Okay. And then we need to configure the fact that it's going to be water. Let's see if that actually worked. Alright, so that is set up. Now, while these are configured to be exporting water, because the tank here is already full, it's not going to make any difference. So I should still be accumulating water in here. Got 718 buckets now. We're going to wait till that gets up to 1,000, and then we'll run another test and see how this works out. So in theory, we should have about 4 or 5 millibuckets worth of water flowing into this reactor, you know, per tick. So the water's not going to last very long because most of it's just being stored. I don't have enough generation happening, but hopefully we can get at least a good minute or so out of the reactors. How are the turbines operating? Did I turn it off? No, it's just not moving at all because it doesn't have any steam. I guess worst case scenario, I'll add one of those creative steam generators just so you guys can see the final output of how things would be if I actually had this reactor being properly cooled. And if I can't get it done in this video, I'll work it out and then I'll post a follow-up just showing exactly how much water I had to add into this to make it happen. So we're almost at our 1,000 bucket mark. I might want to try the cumulus activators too. Or not cumulus activators, what are they called? I need caffeine today. The aquatic accumulators. There we go. Or aqueous accumulators. I'll get it right one of these times. They do generate water faster than the reservoirs. They're just a little bit more complicated to get set up because you actually need to have the pools of water and stuff like that. I prefer the reservoirs just simply because of the fact they can go anywhere. Alright, so we're at our 1,000 buckets. Let's turn this off. So in theory, these should fill up. Alright, it looks like the requiring a redstone signal thing is still not fixed. I'm going to have to report that to the Ender.io people, or not Ender.io, the Extra Cells developers. Okay, so we should be good to go here. Let's turn this puppy on. And the water's there. The water's there. Oh, and we are still massively overheating. My fluid output is maxed. How much steam am I generating a tick? It looks like 200 millibuckets a tick. That is so hard to tell. It just looks like I'm not generating enough of anything. Power is going up. Alright, well let's turn this off because we know my water intake has got to be plummeting. Or in theory it should be. Why the hell is it not going? Well, this reactor is getting insanely hot. My fuel burn up is insane. Well, the fuel is actually working, so I may have actually been really close to hitting what I needed for the water. Just this on its own seems to be doing the trick, just these extra 2 ports here. I'll eventually run out of water, but it looks like it's a lot slower. The problem right now is my steam output is this isn't enough. I need to actually add more ports to make this work. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this off. So I do want to end this video. Let's remove this. We'll take this out. And I'm actually going to add one of those creative steam blocks just so you guys can see how this works. And then in a follow-up I will actually show this build when it's actually working properly. Alright, so this should be having unlimited steam in here. So let's see how this works as far as energy output goes. This still may not be properly maxed because I don't think I have the right turbine combinations. The proper math to this is you need 1 blade on your rotor for every 25 millibuckets of steam being output. So if we're doing, I'll just pull out the old calculator here. So this is actually too much steam that's happening. because in order for optimal output, we need 75 blades, and we could do, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Multiply that by 4, that's 48 blades. I mean, even if I take some of these parts off, I'm nowhere close to hitting that optimal setting. So this actually might be a little bit extreme as it is. So the trick might be to actually reduce this reactor down a little bit. Like, let's say if we get this down to if we get this down to about 1600. Sorry, this is a bit, the RPMs are just still going up. Let's see, how many blades do we have in there? We got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We got 14. So if we do the reverse math here, and we say we have 14 blades, our max RPM this can handle really is only about 350 max flow. So let's drop this down. So that's the reason why you're not seeing this RF higher, is because of the fact I need more blades to properly run with the amount of steam we're producing. We're just producing an insane amount of steam in that reactor. I'm going to have to play with it a bit and you know, see what the right level should be. Alright, so the RPMs are dropping. This actually is dropping too low. Maybe the math has changed. Or maybe the research stuff about it was just wrong. Alright, well let's alright, so we got the RPMs going up again. But you can just see just the optimal settings makes a big difference. Like when we had this set to 1800 millibuckets a tick, it was producing almost the same amount of RF. In fact, it might actually even out once we kind of hit our peak here. So we say go up to 750 millibuckets, which is less than half of what we had before, and we're right in the ballpark of what it was producing before. So getting these RPMs to the sweet spots of 900 or 1800 RPMs are actually amazing. Now, the whole warning about turbines failing catastrophically, I will actually have to check that out at some point. I have no idea what will happen if you push it into the red too hard, so that'll be something interesting. I actually think at this point it's producing more than what it was thinking. Can only capture energy from 25 millibuckets of fluid. So that's where they got that efficiency rating from. Or that thought of, you know, 25 millibuckets per blade to make this happen. And it very well still could be the case. It just might be that a single rotor just isn't capable of handling 1800 RPM, at least not efficiently. Now I can't make this any longer, but I might be able to make it wider. I will play with it a little bit more, kind of see what the optimal settings are. But this is actually working quite well as is. At only doing 750 millibuckets a tick, I'm actually producing 4500 RF, which I'm not sure how much I'd have to turn this down. I might play with the coolant or the control rods at the top and kind of see where I'd hit that sweet spot. But this is half. Well, let's just look at the math this way. If let's assume everything had been optimal right from the start, and I was able to do the full 1800 millibuckets a tick both in the turbine and properly in the reactor. Well, if the ratio stayed the same at 750, we're pulling in 4600 RF. If we just double that to 1500 millibuckets a tick, we're at 9K, which is higher by 100 MJ a tick of what the passive one does. Now we know that number is actually going to be higher because we'd actually be at 1800 RF as opposed to, or not 1800 RF, 1800 millibuckets as opposed to 1500 millibuckets. So we'd actually probably be closer to hitting to 10K RF a tick mark versus the 8K that the passively one does. Now I do realize this is a lot of effort to make happen, but also keep in mind I haven't properly installed all the rotors just to do this. I bet you if I added more of the blades here to properly handle this input, I could probably get myself to a point where this is producing, you know, 6 to 8K. I am going to play around with it. I'm going to do another follow-up video after these ones. Play with it a bit, try to find the exact numbers. You've at least seen how this thing gets created and how to actually get the two machines set up. It's just now a matter of optimizing this for best efficiency. So for now, this is Lovin' the Taco signing off. Everyone, if you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments. Any suggestions, feel free to put those too. I'm going to be testing out a large number of different combinations, and anyone who's had success with this is more than welcome to you know, pass me any advice or any suggestions they have, or, you know, just what's worked for them or what hasn't worked. And I'll also set up a catastrophic turbine and see what we manage to do with that. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and take it easy.